Hello and welcome. This is Paul Sandhu. So as I'm driving to work here today, I wanted to do another video, and it's on the same topic that I've been speaking about the last 3-4 videos, because it's an important topic, which is the topic of predestination versus free will. Okay, the Bible is a book of predestination, okay, which means that God has basically, it's like a movie, okay. Yeah, and in a movie, the story is written by the author. That's it. The actors are simply playing the role that has been assigned to them by the author or the writer of the movie, okay? And which way they are going to do, how they're going to act, etc., is dictated by the director. And in that sense, God is both the writer and the director, the producer, whatever you could say, this movie which we are all living in, which is the movie of life. However, it is not like a fictional story. It is like real. The story, it is a story, but the story is very real in the sense that everything that happens to us, it is real, like life, death, pain, suffering, joy, happiness. All these things are very, very real. In a movie in Hollywood, it's the actors are simply portraying something. They are pretending that they are happy or they're mad or etc., but not so in life. Life is real, but still it doesn't change the fact that it is a story that has been written by our creator and maker, and it is his story. And this is the part that we really leave out when we try to think about who, what, why, etc., as far as life is concerned. The issue that we leave out is that the part that we leave out is God, okay? In the Bible, we are told that all things have been made by him and for him, okay? So you and I and everything that exists, it exists for him. So all these things that happen to us, for example, they are literally happening to God, because God has used us as a vessel to experience certain things from which he is going to derive some benefit, should I say? Perhaps, yeah, maybe you could say that he is going to derive some benefit from our experiences, okay? And what that benefit is, this is a very complex topic, okay? So I'm going to try and explain it. God is love, the Bible is told, okay? But God's love, until it had been tested by evil, it was not perfected. And by perfected, that doesn't mean that God's love was not perfect, but it is something that was not proven. Let's say not perfected, but it had not yet been proven. And in order to prove that he is love, he has to meet the challenges that could potentially destroy love. And that challenge is the challenge of evil, okay? And therefore evil had to come, and evil had to be used by God to test himself. And it is in this testing that he is using all of us, okay? We are literally pawns that he has created, but we are not pawns in the sense like in a chessboard. You have a little wooden pawn that doesn't feel, that doesn't think, that doesn't have any kind of emotions, etc. No, we are very real. So whatever is happening to us is happening to God, because that is the reason we exist. All things have been created by him and for him. You and I and everyone else that exists, even the animals, whatever you could say, they exist for the sake of God. And the purpose of evil was that God would allow evil to test himself. That would his love fail when it was confronted by evil, when pain came, when death came, when suffering came? Would he be able to endure all that? Love, we are told in the Bible, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, endures everything. It can endure everything. So until he had actually endured all the pain and suffering of evil, up to and including the pain of death, which he suffered in Jesus Christ on the cross, his love had not yet been proven. Okay? So that is what this age we are living in, it is it is we, the part that is, we think of ourselves as living in isolation, that we are not connected to anything, or we are separate from everybody else. And in a manner of speaking, we are. But at the same time, that is not the purpose for which God has created us. Because we are told that in the end, God will be all in all. So what God has done is He has used us to suffer evil. Some of us who are going to cause Him pain. Well, we all cause Him pain. But those of us He has chosen, predestinated to understand what pain and suffering is, and to believe that He is the comforter that is able to comfort that, then in a very real sense, what He is doing is He is suffering that pain through us, but He is also comforting Himself through us. Okay? Do you understand? I told you it is a little bit complex, but this is the reason why evil had to come. And when evil comes, sin comes, and it follows by death. So it had to go all the way to its end, and the end of sin, we are told in the Bible, is death. So God had to suffer all the way through. So anything in the history of creation, any suffering that has been suffered by anyone, whether it be man, or it be a beast, or it be any other creature, it has been suffered by God, because that is the purpose for which that creature was created. So once this work that God is doing in us, okay, once we have been used, like we are told the Bible that, He makes us perfect through sufferings. He perfected Himself through sufferings, the Bible told us. Jesus Christ, it is written in the book of Hebrews, you can read it. And what that means is that it is not that there was some kind of imperfection in Him. He was perfect right from the beginning, but everything that He is had not yet been proven. It had not been tested. It had not been challenged. Okay, it's like when the Wright brothers in North Carolina, when they were making the airplane, when they made the first airplane, they designed it. They were, I'm sure, pretty confident that it could fly, but it is not until it actually happened that you could say with confidence that yes, their model, their design, their science, their technology was perfect. Okay, so that is how it is with God. Everything that He is, His loving kindness, His patience, His gentleness, His goodness, all the fruits of the Spirit that we are told about, these had to be tested and proven in the fires of sin and evil. Okay, God Himself is not a sinner, of course not. He is not evil, but He made evil people. He allowed us to become evil. He allowed us to become sinners, so then that He could use that, He could Himself feel all the effects of that evil. Okay, evil brings pain and suffering, and all kinds of things happen which are negative, and then He would use us to feel and experience all that. And not only would He experience it, He would endure it. And having endured it, He would overcome it. And having overcome it, He would be victorious, which means that everything that He told Himself He is, He would have proven it. Get it? I hope you do. Because this is a deep topic, that everything has been made by Him and for Him. Okay, if we keep that in mind, then you get to this point of predestination. Okay, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, they were given a choice, and they made a choice. They chose evil, which is how God had planned it, by the way. Okay, but once that choice for evil had been made, they could never again choose good. They could never again go back to being good. It is impossible. Once evil enters in, then that's it, game over. Okay, therefore God had to override their will since then, if He was to bring them back to Himself. Okay, He had to override it. Therefore, the only one who has free will is God, not you and I. Okay, and He has then predestinated some of us to come to the knowledge of His will, to come to the knowledge of Himself, to come to an understanding of who He is, so that we can value Him, and we can then love Him like He has proven to us that He loves us, by suffering everything, by enduring everything, by overcoming everything which we never would have been able to do. And in that process, what He is doing is He is perfecting that love. Just like He used the devil to perfect sin and evil in us, he then comes and overrides all that, and then he begins to overwrite and he begins to perfect his love in us. And as that love is perfected, we become God. That's it. God is love. And in the end, God will be all in all. There will be no more you and I. So anyhow, this is another day later that I'm ending this video. When I was talking, it got interrupted by a silly sales call, but that's okay. So what I want to emphasize here is that we should all step back, okay, and stop looking inward at ourselves and start looking outwards and upwards at God as to what He is doing, okay? As we have told, all things were made by Him and for Him. So if they are made for Him, then we should say as to what purpose do I serve for Him. And the purpose that we serve is that we are the vessels in which He has placed a soul, which is a consciousness. And then He has made us creatures of conscience. Conscience has everything to do with the will, with making choices, okay? But the problem is that once Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they made a choice for evil, then it became impossible for them to ever choose good again, because evil cannot by itself choose good. It cannot, okay? It's an impossibility. Therefore, God had to override our will, and to program us with the understanding of good and evil. And as we understand, we make choices, okay? It is to bring us understanding that these things happen. And as we begin to understand the difference between good and evil, between life and death, between light and darkness, and we choose that which is good, that which is life, that which is love, that which is God, instead of the Satan, the devil, that we are by default the choice that has been programmed into us. When we begin to do that because we have the understanding, it doesn't mean that we are exercising free will. No, we are not. The free will is God who has exercised that will to bring us to the place where we can begin to get that understanding. And as we grow in our understanding, then we choose, okay? Then we make choices. So our will is always subordinated to the will of either God or the devil, okay? So God has to bring us to the place by His own choice, by His own will, as the Bible tells us repeatedly, that He is the one that chose us, not us ourselves. He is the one that made us. Just think of your body. Did you make your body? Did you have anything to do with the making of your body? Neither do you have anything really to do with the making of your soul or of your conscience. It is all done by God, and the end goal is that when He has finished this programming, the person that will be left is God in us. That's it. That's it. Because only God can love God. God is love, therefore only God can love God fully. Okay? We can all have a little bit feelings of love, but to understand the depth of God's love, which is an impossibility anyways, because the Bible tells us, that we cannot understand the measure, the height, the depth of God's love. It is not possible for us to do so. And therefore, that immeasurable love can only be shared, given, and also fully received by God. So this whole thing that has happened about creation is the ultimate goal is for God to make more of Himself, to reproduce Himself, to replicate Himself. And that replication happens through this process of programming us with the knowledge of good and evil, and then nudging us gently. He keeps nudging us to go this way, go here, okay? And we think that it's we that are doing it, but we are not. Because in the end, there's going to be no we. God is going to be all in all, okay? So He is doing it for Himself, because He is making more of Himself, so He can have a relationship with Himself. That's why, okay? So think about these things, okay? Therefore, don't fall for these doctrines that you have free will and then you are able to make your choices, because it takes away the work that God is doing. The credit that belongs to God and God alone, you give to yourself, okay? Do not do that. lift up your heads, give thanks to Him, because just the fact that you have the knowledge that God exists, it is a gift from Him. Okay? Thank you for listening. This is Paul Sandhu.